My parents canceled my birthday every year because my brother's travel tournaments were more important. So I quietly stopped showing up to family events. No one noticed until photos from my private beachfront wedding went viral, and they realized they weren't invited. Hey Reddit, buckle up because this is going to be a long one, but I promise the ending is worth it. This is the story of how I spent nearly 2 decades being invisible in my own family, quietly built an incredible life without them, and watched them absolutely lose their minds when my beachfront wedding went viral and they realized they were the only ones not there. I, 28 male, grew up in a small town in Ohio with my parents and my younger brother Gavin, 26 male. From the outside, we probably looked like the picture-perfect American family. Nice house in the suburbs, 2 kids, a golden retriever named Biscuit, the whole Norman Rockwell fantasy. But behind closed doors, there was a pretty obvious hierarchy in our family, and I was at the absolute bottom of it. Gavin was a travel baseball player, and not just any travel baseball player. According to my parents, he was destined to be the next Mike Trout, the next Bryce Harper, the chosen one who would deliver our family name to athletic glory and probably make them millions in endorsement deals. Spoiler alert, he never made it past community college ball, but I am getting ahead of myself. From the moment Gavin started showing promise in Little League around age 8, our entire family existence revolved around his baseball schedule. Every weekend was a tournament somewhere. Every weeknight was practice. Every dinner conversation was about his batting average or his fielding percentage or which scout supposedly looked at him during warm-ups. My parents invested easily over $200,000 over the years in travel teams, private coaching, specialized equipment, training facilities, and tournament fees. That is not an exaggeration. I saw the credit card statements once when I was 16, and I nearly choked. Meanwhile, I existed somewhere in the background of all this athletic worship. I was a good student, made honor roll every semester, won science fair competitions, got accepted into the National Honor Society. But none of that mattered because it did not involve a ball or a bat, or my parents sitting in bleachers, feeling like big shots in front of the other travel ball parents. The thing that really stung, though, was not the lack of attention to my achievements. I could have lived with that. What really messed me up was my birthday. I was born on July 14th. For those of you who do not know, July is peak travel baseball season. Tournaments every single weekend, sometimes lasting 3 or 4 days. And every single year, without fail, my birthday got canceled because it conflicted with one of Gavin's tournaments. Let me be crystal clear about what I mean by canceled. I do not mean they forgot. I do not mean they rescheduled to a different day. I mean they would look me in the eyes and tell me that we would do something for my birthday later, and then later would never come. The tournament would end, and suddenly there was another tournament the next weekend. Then baseball camps. Then fall ball. Then showcase events. And by the time things slowed down, it was October, and my birthday was ancient history. One year, I think I was turning 11, I asked if we could at least get a cake before we left for Gavin's tournament in Indiana. My mom sighed like I had asked her to solve world hunger and said, "We just do not have time, sweetie. Maybe we can find something at the hotel." We did not find something at the hotel. We found a vending machine Snickers bar that my dad tossed me and said, "Happy birthday, champ." I ate it in the back seat of our minivan while watching my brother warm up for his first game. Another year, I was turning 14, and I made the mistake of asking if maybe I could stay home with my grandma instead of going to the tournament. I did not want to cause problems. I just wanted to spend my birthday doing something other than sitting in 95-degree heat watching baseball for 12 hours. My dad looked at me like I had suggested burning the American flag. "This is a family," he said. "We support each other. Your brother needs us there." What about what I needed? That question never occurred to anyone. The worst one was when I turned 16. In most families, 16 is a big deal. Sweet 16 and all that. Driver's license territory. Coming of age stuff. I made the cardinal sin of actually believing my parents when they said we would definitely do something special for my 16th birthday. I was so naive. I actually invited a few friends over for what I thought was going to be a small party at our house. My parents forgot to mention they had signed Gavin up for a last-minute elite showcase tournament in Georgia that same weekend. The same weekend as my 16th birthday party that they had agreed to. I found out 2 days before when my mom casually mentioned we needed to pack for Georgia. I had to call all my friends and cancel. I had to explain that actually, my family was leaving town, and I could not have a party anymore. Do you know how humiliating that is at 16? Some of those friends never really looked at me the same way again. I became the kid whose family clearly did not care enough to let him have a birthday party. My parents promised they would make it up to me. They would throw me an even bigger party when we got back. They would get me an even better cake. They would make it the best birthday ever. They promised all these things while loading the car with Gavin's baseball bags and coolers full of Gatorade. We got back from Georgia. Gavin's team won the tournament. There was a celebration dinner at his favorite restaurant. My birthday was never mentioned again. I want to be really clear about something. This was not just about the birthdays. That was the most obvious symptom. But the disease ran way deeper. Every single decision our family made revolved around Gavin's schedule and Gavin's needs and Gavin's comfort. Vacations? We went to places within driving distance of a baseball facility so Gavin could get some practice time in. Holidays? Structured around tournament schedules and recovery time. Family dinners? Dominated by baseball talk, scouting discussions, college recruitment strategy. I would sit there eating my meatloaf while my parents analyzed Gavin's swing mechanics like they were ESPN commentators. I remember one Thanksgiving when I was 13. I had just found out I won the district science fair with a project about water filtration systems. I was so excited to tell everyone at dinner. I waited for a break in the Gavin baseball hour to share my news. Finally got my opening and said, I won first place at the science fair. You know what my mom said? That is nice, honey. Gavin, tell your father about what Coach Peterson said about your arm strength. That is nice. 3 words and a pivot. That was the extent of celebration I got for winning a district competition. When Gavin won literally anything baseball related, it was a whole event. Trophies got displayed in the living room. Photos got framed and hung on walls. Neighbors got told. Extended family got called. But my achievements? Those got acknowledged with a nod and then filed away somewhere nobody would ever look at them again. I found all my science fair ribbons and academic awards in a shoebox in the garage a few years later, just tossed in there with old Christmas ornaments and broken tools. Meanwhile, Gavin had an entire wall in his bedroom dedicated to his baseball accomplishments, an actual shrine. That is when I started to really understand my position in the family. I was not the neglected child exactly. I was fed and clothed and had a roof over my head, but I was furniture, background noise. The other kid they had to acknowledge occasionally, but never had to actually see. Something shifted in me after that 16th birthday disaster. I stopped expecting things to change. I stopped hoping my parents would suddenly see me. I stopped trying to compete with a brother who had a permanent spotlight I could never touch. Instead, I got strategic. I realized that if I wanted a good life, I was going to have to build it myself, without any help from the family that treated me like an afterthought. So I put my head down and I worked. I maintained my 4.0 GPA. I joined every extracurricular that would look good on a college application. I applied for every scholarship I could find. I became obsessed with creating an escape route. Senior year of high school, I applied to 14 different colleges. I got into 11 of them, including several with significant scholarship offers. I chose a state school about 4 hours away from home that offered me a full academic ride plus a small stipend for living expenses. My parents barely noticed. They were too busy touring colleges with Gavin, who was being recruited for baseball by some Division II schools. I left for college in August. My parents drove me there, unloaded my stuff in about 45 minutes, and left to get back home in time for Gavin's showcase game that night. No tearful goodbye, no walking around campus together, no parent orientation, just a quick hug and a "call us if you need anything" that we all knew was just a formality. College was the first time in my life I felt like I could breathe. Nobody there knew I was the forgotten son. Nobody compared me to my brother. I was just Ethan, a blank slate, a fresh start. I majored in accounting and minored in finance. I know that sounds boring, but I loved the precision of numbers. I loved that there were right answers and wrong answers. I loved that success in accounting was based on skill and work ethic, not on whether your parents showed up to cheer for you. I graduated summa cum laude in 4 years, while Gavin bounced around community college, struggling to maintain eligibility for the baseball team that was definitely not a pipeline to the majors, like my parents had convinced themselves. His fastball topped out at 84 miles per hour, which is decent for a casual player, but nowhere near professional level. The dreams of MLB stardom quietly faded, though my parents never quite accepted it. After graduation, I got a job at an accounting firm in North Carolina. I chose North Carolina specifically because it was far enough from Ohio that surprise family visits were unlikely, but close enough that I could not be accused of completely abandoning everyone. Not that anyone would have noticed if I moved to Antarctica. Over the next few years, I started something I call the slow fade. I did not make any big dramatic announcement about cutting off my family. I did not have a blowout fight or send a scathing letter. I just quietly stopped showing up to things. Family dinners? Sorry, work is crazy right now. Thanksgiving? Already made plans with friends. Christmas? I will try to make it, but no promises. Gavin's birthday parties that somehow still got priority treatment, even though he was a grown adult? Unfortunately, I have a deadline that week. I would send a generic gift card and a text message. I would make the occasional 5-minute phone call. I maintained the bare minimum required to avoid an obvious confrontation, but I stopped investing any emotional energy in people who had never invested any in me. And here is the crazy part. Nobody noticed. Nobody called me out for missing 3 Thanksgivings in a row. Nobody questioned why I had not been home for Christmas in 2 years. Nobody seemed to find it odd that they had not seen my face in person since I graduated college. My parents were still so wrapped up in Gavin's life that my absence barely registered. Gavin had moved back home after his baseball career fizzled out. He worked part-time at a sporting goods store and spent most of his energy chasing some vague idea of becoming a personal trainer or maybe a coach. My parents still funded most of his existence, still went to his recreational league softball games like they were the World Series, still treated him like the golden child, even though his gold had seriously tarnished. I was not bitter about this, honestly. I had made peace with my position in the family hierarchy a long time ago. I was just done participating in a show where I was not even an extra. I was done being the audience member who paid for tickets but never got to sit down. Meanwhile, my life in North Carolina was actually pretty great. I worked my way up at the accounting firm from entry level to senior associate to manager. I bought a small condo. I made real friends who actually remembered my birthday. I started dating a woman named Olivia, who I met at a friend's cookout. She was a pediatric nurse with the most infectious laugh I had ever heard, and a zero-tolerance policy for family nonsense that made me feel seen in a way I had never experienced. I told Olivia everything about my childhood, the canceled birthdays, the invisible achievements, the constant second-place finish to a brother who did not even know he was competing with me. She listened to all of it without judgment, then looked me in the eyes and said, "Their loss. Seriously, they missed out on knowing someone incredible." Nobody had ever called me incredible before. Olivia came from a close-knit family that actually functioned like a family. Her parents had been married for 35 years and still held hands at the grocery store. They had Sunday dinners together, not because they had to, but because they genuinely wanted to spend time with each other. The first time I went to one of those dinners, I felt like an anthropologist studying an alien civilization. This is what normal looks like? Her mom asked me questions about my job and actually listened to the answers. Her dad talked to me about regular stuff like sports and movies. They included me in conversations instead of talking around me. I kept waiting for the catch, for the moment when they would pivot away from me to focus on someone more important. That moment never came. After a few months of dating Olivia, I realized I had not talked to my parents in almost 5 weeks. Not because I was avoiding them specifically, I just genuinely forgot they existed because my life was full of people who actually wanted me in it. When I mentioned this to Olivia, she raised her eyebrows and said, "That is kind of telling, do not you think?" Yeah, it really was. Olivia and I dated for 3 years before I proposed. I knew she was the one about 6 months in, but I wanted to do things right. I saved up for a ring she would love. I planned a proposal that was meaningful to us specifically. No flash mob, no social media stunt. Just the two of us on a hiking trail we loved, with a sunset view and a question I already knew the answer to. She said yes before I even finished asking. When we started planning the wedding, Olivia asked me a question I had been dreading. "So how involved do you want your family to be?" I thought about it for a long time. Part of me wanted to be the bigger person. Part of me thought maybe this could be a fresh start, a chance for my parents to finally show up for me during a moment that actually mattered. But then I remembered every broken promise, every canceled birthday, every time I sat invisible in the back seat while they cheered for someone else. "I do not want them there," I said, and I meant it. Olivia did not push back. She did not try to convince me to make peace or extend an olive branch. She just nodded and said, "Then they will not be there. This is our day." I cannot tell you how much that meant to me. She did not try to fix my family or play mediator or suggest that I was being too harsh. She trusted my experience and my judgment. She chose me. We decided to do a destination wedding in Costa Rica. Olivia had always wanted a beach wedding, and I had always wanted to do something completely different from the boring Ohio church weddings I had grown up seeing. Costa Rica was perfect, far enough away that it felt like an adventure, but easy enough to get to that our actual friends and chosen family could attend. We kept the guest list small, about 40 people total. Olivia's parents, her sister and brother-in-law, a handful of aunts and uncles and cousins who had welcomed me into their family with open arms. On my side, I invited my college roommate who had become my best friend, a few work colleagues who had become genuine friends, and my cousin Jamie, who was the only blood relative who had ever treated me like I mattered. No parents, no brother, no extended family from Ohio who had spent decades pretending I did not exist. The wedding itself was everything I never knew I needed. We got married on a private beach at sunset. The venue was this small boutique resort that specialized in intimate weddings. Palm trees everywhere, white sand, water so blue it looked photoshopped. Olivia walked down an aisle made of seashells and tropical flowers. The officiant was a local woman with the warmest voice who conducted the ceremony in both English and Spanish. I cried when I saw Olivia in her dress. I cried when I said my vows. I cried when she said hers. I am not ashamed of any of it. During the ceremony, I had this weird moment where I looked out at the small crowd of people who had traveled to Costa Rica to watch me get married. Every single person there had chosen to be there. Every single person there actually cared about me. There was no obligation or family duty or keeping up appearances. Just love. Pure and simple. Pure. My best friend Jake stood next to me as my best man. This guy had driven 4 hours to help me move into my first apartment after college because my parents could not be bothered. He was more of a brother to me than my actual brother ever was. Olivia's dad walked her down the aisle with tears streaming down his face. This man had welcomed me into his family from day one. He called me son without any hesitation. The reception was at a beachfront restaurant with fairy lights strung between palm trees and a live band playing acoustic covers of our favorite songs. There were maybe 40 of us total, but it felt like the whole world was celebrating with us. Olivia's dad gave a toast that made everyone laugh and cry at the same time. My best friend gave a speech about how I was the most loyal person he had ever known. Olivia's mom told me she was proud to officially call me her son. That one hit different. Proud. Son. 2 words I had wanted to hear my whole life from people who never said them. We danced until midnight. We ate cake on the beach. We watched the stars come out over the ocean and felt like the luckiest people alive. And here's the thing. Not for one single second did I think about my parents or my brother. Not during the ceremony. Not during the reception. Not during any of it. They were so far from my mind that they might as well have been fictional characters from a book I read a long time ago. One of Olivia's cousins was a semi-professional photographer, and she spent the whole weekend capturing candid shots of everything. The ceremony, the reception, the morning after brunch, random moments of us laughing with friends and walking on the beach and just being ridiculously happy. Those photos would later become very important. About 3 weeks after we got back from Costa Rica, Olivia posted some of the wedding photos on her social media. Nothing crazy, just a few shots of the ceremony and the beach and us looking disgustingly in love. She tagged the location and wrote something like, "Married the love of my life in paradise." Her cousin, the photographer, also posted a few shots on her professional photography page. Beautiful golden hour pictures of Olivia in her dress and me looking at her like she hung the moon. We did not think much of it. It was just wedding photos. Everyone posts wedding photos. But then something weird happened. The photos started getting shared. A lot. It started with one of those wedding inspiration accounts reposting the photographer's shots with credit. Then another bigger account shared it. Then another. Then somehow it ended up on one of those viral feel-good story pages with a caption about a dreamy Costa Rica beach wedding. And it just exploded. Within a week, those photos had been seen by literally millions of people. The photographer's page gained like 50,000 followers. Wedding blogs were reaching out asking for details about vendors and locations. It was insane. I thought it was just a weird internet moment that would fade quickly. Weddings go viral sometimes. We would get our 15 minutes, and then everything would go back to normal. Then my phone started blowing up. The first call came from my cousin Jamie, the only family member I had actually invited to the wedding. "Dude," she said, "have you checked Facebook today?" I had not. I barely use Facebook anymore. It is mostly just older relatives posting minion memes and political arguments. "Your mom is losing her mind," Jamie said. Like absolutely losing it. She posted this massive thing about how she found out her son got married from seeing photos on the internet. She is playing the victim hard. People are eating it up too. Lots of sad reacts and comments about how children these days have no respect. I felt my stomach drop a little, but also I felt strangely calm. I had known this moment would come eventually. I just did not expect it to come via viral wedding photos. I pulled up my mom's Facebook page. Sure enough, there was a novel-length post about how devastated she was to learn that her eldest son got married without telling his family. How she had found out because one of her coworkers shared a picture and said, "Wait, is not that your son?" How she had been crying for days. How she did not understand what she had done to deserve this. The comments were wild. Dozens of people validating her grief. "I am so sorry. Children can be so cruel. He will regret this when you are gone." How ungrateful. My dad had commented too. Just one line. "I did not raise my son to behave this way." Funny. I did not remember him raising me at all. Then I saw a post from Gavin. He had shared one of the viral wedding photos with his own commentary. Imagine finding out your brother got married because a stranger showed you a picture that went viral. Imagine knowing you were not even invited. That is what my family is dealing with right now. Family is supposed to be everything. Some people forget that. The comments under his post were even worse. That is so messed up. What kind of person does that to their own brother? Blood is thicker than water, man. He will be sorry when he realizes what he threw away. I scrolled through all of it with a weird detachment, like I was reading about characters in a story instead of my actual life. These people did not know me. They did not know my childhood. They only knew the carefully crafted victim narrative my family was spinning. My phone started ringing. Mom. Dad. Mom again. Unknown number that was probably a relative who got my contact info. I let them all go to voicemail. Then my mom sent a text. "Ethan, please call me. I am your mother. I deserve an explanation." Deserve. That word hit me like a truck. After all those years of canceled birthdays and broken promises and invisible achievements, she had the nerve to say she deserved something from me. I typed back one message. "You have had 28 years to show up for me. You chose not to. I am choosing the same." Then I blocked her number. Over the next few days, the drama continued to unfold online. My family kept posting, kept playing the victims, kept collecting sympathy from people who only knew their side of the story. And then something unexpected happened. My cousin Jamie went scorched earth. She posted her own lengthy response to my mom's viral pity party. She talked about being at my wedding and how beautiful it was. She talked about meeting Olivia's family and how warm and welcoming they were. And then she dropped the receipts. She posted screenshots of text conversations I had given her permission to share. Texts from my mom over the years, canceling birthday plans because of Gavin's tournaments. Texts from me asking if we could maybe celebrate my birthday a different week, only to be ignored. A text from my dad that literally said, "Gavin's showcase is more important than cake. You will understand when you are older." She wrote about being at one of my birthday dinners when I was 12 and watching my parents spend the entire time on the phone coordinating logistics for Gavin's upcoming tournament. She wrote about my 16th birthday party getting canceled and me having to call his friends in shame. She wrote one line that went viral itself. "You do not get to spend 18 years treating someone like they are invisible and then act shocked when they stop trying to be seen." The comments started shifting. People started asking questions. Wait, why did you cancel his birthdays? Why does one kid get a $200,000 investment in travel sports while the other gets a Snickers bar? Why is it that Ethan moved across the country and nobody noticed he was gone for years? Jamie also posted the text thread from my 16th birthday, the one where my mom casually informed me we were going to Georgia 2 days before my planned party, the one where I asked if maybe we could postpone Georgia by one day, the one where my dad responded, "The tournament bracket does not revolve around your social calendar. You will survive." That text in particular made people furious. You will survive. About a 16th birthday party getting canceled for a kid who had never been prioritized once in his life. The callousness was so stark when you saw it spelled out in black and white. Someone in the comments did the math on travel baseball costs. They estimated that my parents spent somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000 per year on Gavin's baseball career over a period of roughly 10 years. Meanwhile, I had paid my own way through college on scholarships and part-time jobs because they told me they could not afford to help me, while simultaneously dropping enough money on one kid's sports career to buy a decent house. My mom tried to do damage control. She posted a follow-up saying that Jamie was exaggerating, that they always did something special for my birthdays, that I was being dramatic and ungrateful. But the screenshots spoke for themselves. The receipts were right there in black and white. A few of her friends tried to defend her. They said things like, "Every family has favorites, that does not make it abuse," and "maybe Ethan should have spoken up if he was so unhappy." Those comments got ratioed into oblivion by strangers pointing out that I had spoken up repeatedly and nobody listened. Then more people started coming forward. A former neighbor who remembered me sitting alone in the backyard during my own supposed birthday parties. A high school friend who remembered the party cancellation. A teacher who remembered writing my college recommendation letter because she knew my parents were not going to prioritize it. My high school friend posted her own recollection of the 16th birthday disaster. She wrote about getting the call from me canceling the party and hearing how defeated I sounded. She wrote about asking her mom if maybe I could stay with them that weekend, instead of going to Georgia, and her mom calling my parents to offer. She wrote about my mom declining the offer and saying, Ethan needs to learn that family comes first. Family comes first. Unless that family member is Ethan, then travel baseball comes first. The court of public opinion started to shift. My family went from sympathetic victims to villains in a story they had written themselves. I finally listened to the voicemails. There were 23 of them. My mom's ranged from tearful, "Please call me, I am your mother, I love you," to angry, "I cannot believe you would humiliate me like this," to manipulative, "Your father has not been sleeping, his blood pressure is up, I hope you are happy." My dad left exactly one voicemail. His voice was tight and controlled, the same voice he used when I did something that embarrassed him in front of the travel ball parents. "I do not know what we did to deserve this, Ethan, but you have really hurt your mother. This family has given you everything. I thought we raised you better than this. Call me back. Everything. They had given me everything, except attention, except presence, except the basic acknowledgement that I existed outside of being Gavin's older brother." Gavin left a few voicemails too. His were mostly just anger. "Dude, what is your problem? Mom has been crying for like a week straight. You made me look like garbage in front of everyone. We are supposed to be family. You cannot just cut us out because of some childhood stuff. Grow up." Childhood stuff. 18 years of being invisible was just childhood stuff. I did not call any of them back. About a month after the wedding went viral, I got a letter in the mail, hand-addressed in my mom's handwriting, sent to my work address, which meant she had to do some research to find it since I had never given it to them. I thought about throwing it away unopened, but curiosity got the better of me. The letter was 4 pages long, single-spaced, written on that floral stationery my mom has had since I was a kid. She started with an apology, or at least what she thought was an apology. "I am sorry if you felt overlooked as a child. We never meant to make you feel that way. We were just trying to support your brother's dreams." If I felt overlooked, not, "I am sorry we overlooked you," not, "I am sorry we canceled your birthdays," just sorry that I felt a way about the things they actually did. She went on to explain that they had invested in Gavin because he had special talents that needed nurturing. She said I was always the independent one who did not need as much attention. She said she assumed I understood that Gavin's baseball career was a family priority, and that I would benefit too when he made it to the majors. When, not if. She still believed the fantasy even now that it was long dead. She talked about how hurt she was that I had not invited them to the wedding, how she had always dreamed of watching me get married, how she had been robbed of that experience. Robbed. Like I had taken something from her. Like my wedding was her property that I had selfishly withheld. She ended the letter by saying she hoped we could put this behind us and move forward as a family. She said she would always love me no matter what. She signed it Mom with a little heart. I read the letter twice. Then I put it back in the envelope. Then I recycled it. There was nothing in those 4 pages that sounded like genuine accountability. No acknowledgement of specific harms. No understanding of why I might be upset. Just excuses wrapped in the language of victimhood. I showed the letter to Olivia. She read it slowly, then set it down and said, "This is genuinely one of the most tone-deaf things I have ever read." She spent 4 pages explaining why the way they treated you was justified. She was right. My parents had decided early on that Gavin's talents were worth investing in, and mine were not. They had made that choice deliberately, over and over again, for 18 years. And now they expected me to just get over it because they finally noticed I was gone. I did not write back. My mom did not deserve a response. She did not deserve anything from me except exactly what she had given me for 18 years. Nothing. I was not going to move forward as a family with people who still did not understand what they had done. About 3 months after the wedding went viral, I got a call from my cousin Jamie. Her voice was tense. "Heads up," she said. "Your parents are planning to come to North Carolina. They booked flights for next weekend. Your mom told my mom they are going to show up at your house and make you talk to them." I felt my jaw tighten. How did they get my address? "Your Aunt Linda. She found it on some property records website. I am so sorry. I tried to warn her not to give it to them, but she thinks this whole situation is sad and everyone should just make up." I thanked Jamie for the heads up and hung up. Then I called Olivia and told her what was happening. "So they are just going to ambush us?" she said. "Show up unannounced at our home?" "Apparently. That is insane. What do you want to do?" I thought about it for a few seconds. I want to not be here when they arrive. So that is exactly what we did. The weekend my parents flew to North Carolina, Olivia and I drove to Charleston for a spontaneous beach trip. We turned off our phones and spent 3 days eating seafood and walking on the beach and completely ignoring whatever chaos was happening back home. When we got back Sunday night, there was a note taped to our front door. My mom's handwriting. We came all this way to see you. We sat on your porch for 4 hours waiting. Please call us. We love you, and we want to fix this. There was also a gift bag with a card and what looked like a framed photo inside. I did not open it. I threw the whole thing in the trash. 2 days later, my dad called from a number I did not recognize. I made the mistake of answering. Ethan, this is ridiculous, he said. His voice was hard and angry. We flew across the country to see you, and you hid from us like a child. Your mother cried the entire flight home. Are you happy? I did not ask you to come, I said. I did not want you to come. You showed up uninvited at my home. We are your parents. We do not need an invitation. Actually, you do. That is exactly how this works. He sputtered for a few seconds. I do not know what we did to make you hate us so much. I know you do not. That is the problem. I hung up and blocked that number too. A few weeks after the ambush attempt, I got some big news at work. The firm was promoting me to director. It was a significant jump in title and salary. They told me I had earned it through years of consistent, excellent work and strong client relationships. Olivia insisted we celebrate. She organized a dinner at a nice restaurant with about a dozen of our closest friends. Her parents drove down from Virginia to join us. Jake flew in from Atlanta. My cousin Jamie came too. During dinner, Olivia's dad stood up and gave a toast. He talked about how proud he was of me, how hard I had worked, how much I deserved this recognition. He said he considered me a son, and that watching me succeed brought him genuine joy. I looked around the table at all these people who had shown up for me, who had driven hours or flown across states to celebrate my promotion. My actual parents had never once done anything like this for any of my achievements. After dinner, Olivia's mom pulled me aside and handed me a small wrapped box. This is from us, she said, for your promotion, but also just because we wanted you to have it. Inside was a really nice watch. Quality. Elegant. The kind of thing you wear to important meetings. You do not have to say anything, she said when I started to thank her. Just know that we see you. We have always seen you. Fast forward to now. It has been almost a year since the wedding went viral. My parents made 2 more attempts at contact after the ambush. First, they sent a certified letter to my office demanding a meeting. My assistant signed for it. I had our company lawyer send back a formal response requesting they cease all contact through my workplace. That stopped pretty quickly. Second, they tried going through Olivia's parents. My mom somehow got their phone number and called them to plead her case. Olivia's mom listened politely for about 5 minutes, then said, "With all due respect, I have heard your son's side of this story, and I believe him. If you want a relationship with him, you will need to earn it. Calling us is not the way to do that." Then she hung up. I heard about that conversation secondhand and laughed out loud. Olivia's mom is tiny, but she does not take nonsense from anyone. Gavin reached out once through Instagram DMs about 6 months ago. He said he missed his brother and wanted to meet up. I looked at his profile. He was still living at home with our parents, still working part-time at the sporting goods store. I did not respond. Meanwhile, my life just kept getting better. Olivia and I bought a house, a craftsman bungalow with a big yard and a front porch. We got a dog named Hank, who is the goofiest golden retriever you have ever seen. We started talking about maybe having kids in the next couple years. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.